Welcome back. The big night is just 1 week away. The second Republican presidential debate next Wednesday, right here on Fox Business. Our very own Larry Kudlow will host special coverage leading up to the debate at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, brand new Fox Power rankings giving us a little bit of a look of at how Americans are feeling about race. An overwhelming majority choosing more populist candidates over traditional conservative voices. The race is what I meant. Joining us now, Kudlow host Larry Kudlow. What do you make of these power rankings? I'm just going to put it out there.
Well, come on, Larry.
I really worked very hard on them. I know they're very good, but the whole thing gave me a headache.
But don't you think it's so you've got this populist versus conservative thing.
What does that mean?
Explain to me
what that means.
Is there a divide in the party on those two fronts, do you think?
Look, I think if it's domestic issues, I don't see any divide in the Republican Party. Now, taxes, regulations, budgets, deficits, debt, the border, school choice. You're going to have your great town hall meeting on school choice. I don't see any divide at all. I do think there's a divide growing on foreign policy.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and that is the critical fact. That is the distinguishing factor.
Is that what all those charts? All right. Well, I take it back then, because it was a 3 Tylenol headache. And, yeah, you've got a lot of skepticism about funding Ukraine against Russia.
Right.
But on the other hand, I don't know how widespread that is, because again, I don't know exactly who the populists are, but I know that some conservatives in the House and Senate who don't want to keep funding $100 billion a year or whatever the number is, okay? But they're not saying no help. They're saying let's conduct diplomacy, which would somehow generate a ceasefire or some new agreement.
Yep. They have no interest in doing that. Nobody's even tried. They didn't try from the get-go.
The Bidens.
Yes.
Yes, I agree with you on that point. But I'm just saying I think the responsible point, whether you're a, quote, conservative or a, quote, populist, is that point. Now, you know, Trump is making that point. You had a little division in the debate, and we'll probably see it again. Nikki Haley, you know, wants to go at it and fund Ukraine until they win. Or Mike Pence wants to go at it and fund Ukraine until they win. I would like Ukraine to win, too, but I don't see any evidence that they're winning. And again, we get into it deeper and deeper. So I see a divide there. Now, whether that's populist versus conservative or just a legitimate difference of opinion, I don't know. But again, on the economy and domestic issues, I don't see any divide at all.
Larry, I think your headache was worth it for that great analysis. But I bet you'd like to talk about the Fed, because they're going to come up here shortly. We're going to find out what they're going to do. What do you think?
One thing that troubles me, I read Nick Timiraos, who is really the chairman of the Fed, even though he works at the Wall Street
Journal.
And Nick is a very good reporter. Look, you have an oil shock. Oil has gone from 65 to 95, on its way to 100 or maybe 125. This is potentially very inflationary. Okay, if the Fed monetizes this oil shock, that, you know, if they don't raise rates, if they keep adding to their balance sheet and increasing the money supply, making mistakes that they made in 2000 or 2021, they made a lot of those mistakes in the 1970s, then you're going to have a big problem, because, you know, energy permeates, oil and gas permeate the entire economy. I'm going to spare you my list of, you know, 200 items.
I looked it up. It was quite good. I think you should share with folks. Well, I actually printed it out myself.
You know, it's a great list.
It was really good.
Now that you mention it, here it is.
There it is.
No, but I mean, you go through this stuff. I mean, look, the easiest one is fertilizer and food, okay?
Yep.
But again, that's very important, and the Fed would be monetizing that. But you got stuff like here, antifreeze, antihistamines, asphalt. You've got golf bags, golf balls. Wow. You've got eyeglasses. You've got all kinds of operating hospital rooms, MRI. It's just endless
anything with plastic.
Of anything with plastic. Thank you. Anything with chemicals. Any refined petroleum products are affected by $100 oil. And for the Fed to sit by and allow that to happen, I mean, all their models just do not understand the importance of this. And I'd be curious to see if Jay Powell says anything about oil. I haven't seen it, again, in the columns running up to it, the Nick Timiraeus type stuff. They're just saying the Fed will stand pat.
But doesn't Powell and the rest of the Fed say, well, we like to strip out food and energy?
Yes.
They're the most volatile, so we're going to look at the core number.
Yes, that's the stupidest thing in the history of the earth. I mean, look at ordinary people need food and energy, okay? Blue-collar people, middle-income people, lower-income people get hit the hardest by this. I mean, gasoline prices have started to go back up towards $4.
Yeah.
And I might add, incidentally, if anybody looks at this stuff, the CRB commodities index has gone up quite a bit in the last few months. We're seeing the same pattern we saw back in the year 2020, not as exaggerated. So I'm just saying, here, Kevin Hassett was on the show last night. The Fed's job is not done. I'm sorry, the Fed's job is not done. And this idea of pausing, okay, and waiting for what? Immaculate conception? No. They have to start reining in the, I shouldn't have said, they have to start reining in the money supply. That's what they need to do. They haven't done enough. That's
and here's something that I was wondering, too, about the GDP, too. And I mentioned this on the show the other day. You know, we've seen some growth this year, and it's projected we're going to see more growth for the rest of the year. For the Fed, that's really tied itself to demanding slower growth to tame inflation. It doesn't seem like we're moving in that direction if we're measuring it by GDP.
That's another point. But you see, I don't really like that approach. I don't think their job is to stifle growth. I think their job is to make the dollar sound in terms of commodity prices, energy prices, foreign exchange prices. I know that they operate on a Phillips curve.
Yeah.
Okay. Growth versus recession, unemployment versus inflation. I don't think those models are any good, Brian.
I think that model is a huge mistake. It causes a lot of unnecessary pain. But you think about oil prices that are affecting the economy. Look, we're talking about these UAW strikes this week, Larry. I don't know where they're going to go, but they seem to be getting worse. We're seeing more strikes. To me, when you talk about the Fed and what they're baking into their model, how do you bake that one into the model?
Inflation is beating wages, so real wages have fallen. In the 30 months of Joe Biden, real wages have fallen like 28 of the 30 months, something like that. Net, they've fallen 3% in the last 2.5 years. So these unions are going on strike. And there's going to be quite a few strikes. I don't think the UAW is going to be the last strike. The Fed should look at that, too. This, by the way, is exactly reminiscent of the 1970s.
Again, another 1970s comparison.
Well, people are angry because it's hard to get by, and then they're demanding more, and it just compounds the problem. But then you've got Jerome Powell looking at this and saying, wow, the administration just keeps doubling down on its destructive energy policy.
Well, that, too. I mean, that's out of the Fed's purview. Supply side impacts of the war on fossil fuels is very detrimental.
Extremely detrimental. We've got a big inflation fight on our hands. Larry, always good to see you.
My headache goes away when I come on.
With this show.
Goes away.
And it gets even better because Charles Payne's up next. He's going to cover everything with the Fed.